Hey, how's it going, you guys? Welcome back to What's on Our Screen podcast. I'm Elio Ramos, and I'm accompanied by my cousin Javier Rivera.
Hi, I'm bad at the intros.
One day it's gonna be epic. You're gonna have
Yeah,
like
one day it's
bells
gonna
and
be
whistles, and you're gonna be like, "Pew, pew, 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 Javier's in the
yeah.
house." So today we have a very special show for you guys. It's a theme show, something different, changing things up a little bit, kind of keep you guys on your toes. You know what I'm saying? Today we're gonna be doing a show that talks about movies that made us feel good or feel good movies. And that could be any kind of movie that you guys
Yeah.
enjoyed or growing up and whatnot. But before we dive into that, there's a brand new trailer that has Brad Pitt in it, and it's called Bullet Train. And unknown
This
to me, Hobby
seems
watched it, and then I watched it, and we both sent it to each other. And
yeah.
we didn't even notice it, so we're both kind of like, oh. So Primo, go ahead, jump into it. Let me know what are your thoughts on
Well,
that?
after last week's epic Brad Pitt talk that we had on the show, um,
Yes.
he has this big trailer, and it's an action packed trailer by I think one of the directors of John Wick. So yeah, I can't remember now the I'm blanking on. I know it's a speeding train. He has to rob something on the train, and it's full of people who are trying to do the same thing, assassins and crooks all in the train. So it looks like a fun movie. It looks like a little bit like Snatch, but it has
Yeah.
that spirit of Guy Ritchie. So so
Yeah.
yeah, it looks great. I mean, the visuals were good. He looks like he's having fun. That's one of his quirky characters. So
Yeah.
I'm ready for that.
It definitely seems like it's something out of his element, out of his wheelhouse. He seems he's he's able to make fun of himself a little bit more as the older he gets. I think the older he's gotten, the better of an actor he's become because he's
Yeah.
like let go of the ego or whatever. Like, what's my appearance? How do I look in camera? He's just kind of like, meh,
Well,
you
the
know,
first
like
thing was
let me do
just
it.
the pretty boy or
Yeah,
pretty boy at the moment. So I think even Leo, I think that's why Leo does the movie he does. He was trapped in that category of just a
yeah,
pretty boy.
yeah. But Leonardo DiCaprio, he's always been
Yeah,
like
but he
an
he fought
actor.
he fought against that after Titanic.
Yeah. Oh,
So
true. That's a
now
good point.
we're going on. It's like
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true, but like to dive.
it's not gonna be what's on our stream podcast anymore. It's gonna be what actors on our mind
Yeah.
podcast.
But I will say this, he has gotten better. So this, based on the trailer and based on what I saw in the trailer, it's a story of a former assassin who's been enlightened and has changed his ways, and now he's become a pacifist. And so he is living in Japan, and he has one last gig, and they requested him to do a gig, and he's just like, you know what, I'm in a good place now, of course I'll do it. So they offer him like weapons and guns and all this stuff, and he doesn't take any of it. He's just complete pacifist. He won't kill anybody, but he's on a mission to acquire a certain item, and in this case it's a briefcase, that is located on this bullet train. Now it's an ensemble cast, so there's just a lot of familiar faces in there, people who've done different movies from Last Samurai to just a bunch of different comedians that all their names, you know,
Even
drawing
a
a
Puerto
blank.
Rican rapper,
Was that?
like, even a Puerto Rican reggaetonero is there.
Oh yeah. So
Like
it's a
Bad Bunny is
Bad
in there.
Bunny. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was just like, that kind of looked like Bad Bunny. Okay, so that confirms it. But it's a different it's a like an ensemble cast, and they're all after like the same item, and it's everybody on the bullet train is like a different assassin or train assassin. So he's going. It's a character that's kind of, it's almost like a John Wick, you know, and where he's out of the game, but he's being brought back because he has
Yeah,
one more mission to do, and he's forced to solve these situations in a different manner that still aligns with his current beliefs, which is pacifism. So it seems like Brad Pitt is just making fun of himself, making fun of it. The movie seems to be making fun of John Wick in that genre, and ironically, it's from the director of John Wick, or one of the directors of John Wick. So it's almost like he's pointing, making fun of himself in all these movies. So it seems like a lot of fun. I like movies that draw out the story in a in a concealed place. You know, like it's all in one location, so you don't really have to go out and location scout and stuff like that. They probably build all the stages, of course, and everything like that, and the sound stage, like all the locations, but it's all set in one location, so you don't have to like bust your head over anything. You just got to make each cart and each encounter in the carts unique and different. And so I think the movie's going to be a lot of fun, and there's going to be a lot of backstory in there. And I agree with you, Javi. I think there's a lot of Guy Ritchie elements in here where it's like Snatch and stuff like that. Each character's quirky. They have their own elements. They have their own struggles. They're trying to do their own thing, and it all evolves around this briefcase, one item. And I think a lot of stories that that are whimsical and fun and have a good flow to it, they all evolve around that, like that one item that everybody's trying to go after, and how everybody's reacting to that one item. So
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be hilarious. I think it's gonna be fun, and it's something that I wouldn't mind watching. I don't know if I would go to theaters to go watch it, but it almost felt like a Netflix movie to me. I was like, oh
Yes.
sweet, this is gonna be a Netflix soon. So, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's good to see him, playing that role, kind of having fun with it. Good for you, Brad. Good for you. Happy for you, bud. That actor has grown and matured in so many ways.
Yeah.
But moving on. So here onto our theme of the show is movies that make us feel good. And what defines that, right? Are they romance movies? Are they romance comedies? Are they comedies? Are they animated movies? Are they action or drama or suspense? And I think it's all of the above. These feel good movies are movies that have touched us, impacted us, and are really movies that when we're feeling down or bored or sad or lonely and we need some
Or it just
comfort.
pops up in the TV and you just, okay, I gotta watch this now.
Exactly. You kind of put it on and you just go off, like you're able to have it on in the background and do something else, or you could just put it on and just, it just fills you up and you're just like, ah, this moment, it's comforting, it's like comfort food, but it's a comfort movie. So so Primo, why don't you start us off with uh with your comfort movie or your feel good movie or movies or just your definition of it. Yeah, let's do that. Like what's your
I don't know. For me, more more I don't know, melancholic person type. So
mm,
bombastic, inspirational stuff like that. So you're gonna see that, or characters who start like one way in the end that they, typical like Disney movie has a happy ending and stuff like that. So typically like those movies. So my first one, I really love time travel. This
mm,
movie is it to me, and plus all the hearty feeling and character change, the character arc and all that stuff. It's Groundhog Day. Um, so he's Bill Murray is a weather guy from this news channel, and he has to go cover the Groundhog Day, and he's a very cynical, horrible person, egotistical, and he's just trapped in Punxsutawney Town, and he has to relive the Groundhog Day every day. It loops, and he's trapped there. So he starts one way and ends the other way, and there's a romance in there. And I've read a lot about the film, and people who have analyzed the film saying that he must have been trapped there for like 30 years or something like that to do all the stuff that he
mm.
does, like playing the piano, all those instruments he plays, or the way he plays. He must have been there. All that knowledge he acquired, he must have been trapped there like 30 years, something like that.
Wow.
So, so yeah, I just love that film. I bought it. I have it. I've seen it on Netflix. I've seen it on Prime. When it, uh, each time I scroll and watch and see the icon there, I kind of click on it
Yeah.
just to start. I just love that film. It's I've heard people who are expert in screenwriting and saying that the script for it's almost like perfect script.
Wow.
Rules and how the movie is not long. It's like a 90-minute movie, and in that short amount of time, it explains the rules of this place. And So I admire the movies for the script show and the acting in that movie. So for me, it's I really love that movie. It's my almost my Christmas movie. I feel like
Oh, nice, nice. I like
it
that.
has that feeling of a Scrooge. Like he
Mm-hmm.
acts like that, and at the end he's changed. So
Yeah.
I really like it.
Well, he ironically he did the movie Scrooge as well, so same
Yeah,
actor.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I think I've only watched that movie like a handful of times, and I can't. It's not that I'm not, I don't think it's a good movie or anything like that. I think it's great. I love all the theories behind it. Like one of the characters that's trying to sell him insurance or something like that is
yeah.
actually the devil, and he's the one who trapped him into it,
Okay.
into the whole thing, and until he finally signs away his soul to that guy, that's when he right after that, like that's when he like leaves
The
the
boat,
yeah. So
the
it
time loop.
yeah, the time loop. So that I love those kinds of theories, and people are always constantly analyzing that movie to
Yeah,
self reflect. It's a commentary on social life and things like that in our society and how we're evolving and influencing other people and all that stuff, and how to be better and how to treat others, all that jazz. And also like staying if you have you only have one life to live, so like go after the things that you really want to
yeah,
do and really focus hard on those things, and you'll see that you'll be able to achieve it. It'll take you time, but you'll do it, kind of thing. So but yeah, I see the appeal in it being a feel good movie for sure. I'm confident that a lot of people feel that way, especially when it's like on TV. uh
yeah,
Shawshank Redemption is one of those movies where when it's on TV, no matter where it's at, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna watch it because
yeah.
that's the
Okay.
kind of movie Shawshank is. Like from the beginning, the middle, or the end, you're just like, hmm. And it's a terrible story, but
Yeah,
it's
it
so
is.
well told, and it's just like a painting. It's a masterpiece, and they're just like they're doing this art, and just like everything's being revealed in front of your eyes, and it's just so the pacing too. Like I think it's a pretty long movie. I think it's like an hour, 2 hour plus movie,
Yeah,
but you just don't feel it. You're so invested in this character, and you're following his life and his struggle, and it's a prison movie, and Morgan Freeman as a narrator. Oh man, just telling that story from his perspective of somebody else. Like it's so well told, so well structured. And when you said it was like one of those movies that when you see it on there and you just like want to continue watching it, Shawshank
yeah,
just came to mind because I
yeah.
anytime
Shawshank is another movie that's it's a beautiful movie, but it's
yeah.
not for me. It's not a feel good. It is a feel good movie, but it's like you said, it's very sad. But it's more
Mm,
like a inspirational movie about when everything can go like wrong or worst day. This
mm-hmm.
character still has the spirit of not getting down. In no moment is he quits or nothing. And contrary, he starts inspiring people around him,
Yeah,
and even he escapes those boundaries. So it took him years, but he eventually gets out. You know,
yeah. No,
and it's more about Morgan Freeman than him. And Morgan Freeman ends the movie basically.
mm-hmm.
So
Because it's told from Morgan Freeman's perspective. It's not
yeah,
really from Andy's perspective at all.
yeah,
It's just so that's why there's so many liberties that you could take within that, and they can get away with a lot of things, and it's a good way to cheat when you want to tell somebody's story, but you want to embellish a couple things and blow it up,
yeah.
and because it's from somebody's perspective. You're like, and this is how I remember it. And it's this great fight or something like that. When in reality, it was probably, like a shove and a push, but
Mhm.
from this person's perspective, it's like, oh my god, there was fists flying everywhere. He had like 6 arms. It's like Jesus, like that's intense. But yeah, what is it about um that that movie that Groundhog's Day that makes you want to like put it in like what is it about it like? Because I remember when I was a kid, I used to I before I went to go to bed, I would watch like one movie. I always had to pick one movie, and I would always determine that by one the length, because I wanted to get the full movie in there before I went to bed, and I didn't want to, if I fell asleep, then I knew I watched majority of it. But then too, like I would run my finger through each movie, and we had a lot of Disney movies, a lot of animated movies, but I always like play the movies in my head all the way through and get to a certain spot that I'm like, do I want to feel that emotion right now? Do I want to make like this movie makes me feel a certain way, and I'll be like, no, 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 I don't want to feel like that. And then I keep putting my scroll my finger through a movie until I finally like, okay, yeah, I can deal with that. Like I can deal with that emotion, and at the end there's a nice resolution where it makes me feel good, and I could go to bed like that. And then that's the movie I would pick. And so what was it about Groundhog's Day that made you be like, like what is that moment where you're like, this is why I really love this movie, or this is why it makes me feel a certain way?
I think it's more. I mean, I love the acting, but for me, I don't know. Maybe it's how do I say this? It's I like the story structure of this film or the conceit of this concept. I'm
Mm,
very fond of it. And usually, when you have a conceit like that, the time loop, somebody stuck, usually it's action or because this is almost like a sci-fi, a very sci-fi movie
it's
because
true.
it's or whatever version of but doing it in a taking a sci-fi concept like it's a very high concept of a person stuck in a loop
Yeah.
and making it about changing the person, his character being so disconnected from humanity. He doesn't care. He thinks everybody's, you know, garbage to him. He acts like that, and just like with enough time, and that person just stuck in this prison of people feeling good and happy breaks this character because everybody else around him is happy and because it's Groundhog Day and it's a festive and everybody's singing and all these things and this character is almost in hell. He's in prison. That he's you see what he starts doing. He starts doing horrible things at the beginning, robbing, learning the life of a woman just to get her to bed, make her think that he was in her class. He does all these things, and then it turns into dark because it doesn't satisfy him anymore.
Mm,
Like he starts eating like you almost see like the seven sins of in him.
yeah.
He's not there, but eventually it's just all this greediness that he's having is just turns sour, and he just turns to suicide and killing himself, and just bored to death. Like, and then this moment he wakes up is this person dying, this homeless guy dying, and he feels like God in this place, and he can't help it. He can't change it, and that's when he falls in. When he finds his humanity is in that moment.
Mm.
And for me that moment is just so beautiful, like and it's a very poetic movie, and like it's a comedy, drama to comedy, but Bill does an incredible job with the character, and all the pieces around him. I love it. It's one of my favorite films.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. I appreciate you sharing that because yeah, I could see the transition of the character, the changing elements in his life and stuff like that, and that going from like this evil person, if you will, and now transitioning into a more caring and thoughtful person,
Yeah,
and I could see the appeal. I have to I have to go back and revisit that movie because I've only seen it a
I
handful of times.
recommended it to you, and you saw it, and you were like, "Nah, I don't see what you're seeing." Because I think it was, I think it was past you because you were growing up, and then when the movie came out, you
Yeah,
weren't paying attention to it.
there was a
But it's a
lot.
beautiful film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that I watched when I was a kid that it just went over my head because if it wasn't like action based, if it wasn't like Lord of the Rings kind of
yeah,
epic, but I grew up watching a lot of Disney movies, so feel good movies were always a part of my childhood. Some movies made me feel um, too much emotions, others didn't make me feel enough, but I was always like in that feel good kind of world because that's what Disney was all about. Growing up, man, you just name one, and I have them. I've seen them. My mom has like a huge collection of them, and so I've always um, like Tarzan was always a feel good movie for me. Um, man, I'm now that it's my turn, I'm drawing a blank. But
I
there's
told you to make a list, and you didn't. No, I got it in my head.
I
It's
got it in
like,
my head, but it's like Pirates of the Caribbean was definitely one. But it's
no,
like,
give me your favorite. Give me the one that makes you feel good, like makes you just wanna like be a better human.
man,
Like
there's just so many of them. Like there's growing up, you could just I really enjoyed romantic comedies. Like, there was a
mhm,
transition. Like when I was a kid, I went from like these hardcore Disney movies. Sword in the Stone was one of my all time favorite Disney movies. Growing up, I would watch that all the time because I love how the kid transitions. Like he's a nobody,
mhm.
but he's always trying to do good. He's always trying to help and please, and he's a people pleaser. But yet people are always kind of mistreating him, and he was always misunderstood. But yet he would take that as acceptance, as appreciation. Like I gotta work harder to earn their love and their respect, kind of thing. And until he runs into Merlin, and just by being himself, Merlin just accepted him and wanted to teach him and wanted him to grow because he saw the potential in him. But yet he was always so focused on those who mistreated him as those that I still need to garner their respect, from them. And I always enjoyed that movie because it taught you different lessons by physically putting the kid in these situations. Like he would turn him into a squirrel, would turn him into a fish, and he would have to fight these little elements. These like as he when he was a fish, he would fight a barracuda. As a squirrel, there was always this wolf always trying to eat him and stuff like that. So there's different elements, when he uh, ran into a witch who had like the same capabilities as Merlin, Mad Madam Mim, she there was a nice balance that there's good magic and there's bad magic, and there's people who are highly emotional and just have emotional take action emotionally, and there's people who think logically and are sound mind and things like that. So growing up, I always identified with that movie. I just loved it mainly because of the different adventures that the kid has. But as a grown up, like I can analyze it and process it. It's always been a really feel good movie. um, Bed knobs and broomsticks. That was, man, I burned that movie out. I just love the idea of the magic being transported
Mhm.
into like another world, and it's all from this little bed knob,
Yeah,
and you just touch that, and then
it's
just
almost like urban fence.
yeah, it was such a great movie, and had a lot of escapism. But then, as I gotten older, like these epic movies started taking that
Oh,
place of like the feel good. Um, Stardust. Stardust
ooh.
for the longest time was my all-time favorite movie because it had everything that I ever wanted in a movie. It had like the epic scale of Lord of the Rings, and it transported me to this vast universe. And I was like, it was so eye captioning, and just it stole my soul away. Like I wanted to be there, but then at the same time, I had the drama
Yeah,
and the love and the micro story about this kid it's a kid just trying to win the heart of the girl that he loves, but learning in that process that that girl's not for you, it's not the right one, and he's still so determined even at the end of the movie to give that to that girl that he eventually realizes that she's not the one, but he's completely changed. He's become the man that he's always been inside, but he built that confidence, and it's a story about developing his confidence, and they tell it in such a vast and magical way, and it's so. I went to the movie theaters twice. I think I was living in Puerto Rico when I went to go watch that
yeah,
movie.
yeah. You got enchanted by that movie.
So much, and
You didn't know anything. It's a
no,
Neil Game novel, and
yeah.
I've read the novel. And when I saw the that's why I said, Ellie, we gotta go watch it. And you were like, I don't know, and like you do, and yeah, it's the conceit of the movie. The theme of the movie is that uh um forgot his actor's name, but he's Daredevil in the Daredevil Netflix series, or in the Marvel movie.
Yeah,
No, in the MCU, Charlie Cox, a younger Charlie Cox,
yeah.
and he's in love with the pretty girl in the village,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes over there to propose, and she says she sees a shooting star, and she said, "Find me that shooting star, and I think I'll marry you," or something like that.
Yeah,
So he goes, and there's this village has a secret that it has this serious wall, wall around in one part, and there's a crack in it. If you go through that through that crack, you go into this magical world like Narnia or something like that.
Mm,
And he goes over there and he just finds himself. He learns who he is. He has this incredible journey, finding the shooting star. He finds it. It's a and I recommend that to everybody. And you're right. I forgot about that movie almost. Like it's a really beautiful
yeah,
movie, and Ro- Robert De Niro has a very funny part in it.
yeah, yeah,
Like yeah,
yeah.
one of my favorite parts. Him
He,
and this actor just riffing on each other. It's a really good. Shout out to Michelle Pfeiffer. She still looks
oh
incredible.
yeah, in that movie, yeah,
Yeah, incredible.
one
She
hundred
does.
percent.
Yeah.
And what's his name? God, I had his name at the tip of my tongue. The actor. He just has a Netflix show. He's a comedian.
uh,
Uh,
the 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 one who's always insulting everybody.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, I had his name. When you said it, I was like, oh yeah, and it's gone.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's the movie is fantastic. And Robert De Niro, they only had him for 3 days. And
yeah.
so they shot everything. Like as soon as he arrived, they were just like, "All right, let's go." And they shot everything with him in those 3 days, and he was out the door. And it just looks like he had such a big role in the movie when in reality it's such a small part. But that's the beauty of the story and the beauty of the storytellers. It's really a diamond in the rough. Like I can't believe that this is not
Yeah,
that
it's
the
a
movie
low
didn't
budget.
have. Yeah,
It's a low budget film, and sometimes I feel maybe that's a theme for another show. But I feel that creativity when you're constrained, you get very creative and do solutions. Sometimes these directors have is a Matthew Vaughn film from Kingsman and X-Men. So he directed this.
yeah. I think
So
that's
he
one of
has
his first movies, right?
yeah. He's one
Yeah.
of his films. I bet the budget on that is low, so you have to be very creative.
Very creative and decisive, and that's the key
Yeah,
to like all
and let
movies.
the
It's just like
actors carry with the thing,
exactly.
their charisma.
Let those
So
who know do, and then just be decisive. Like, do you want this or this? I want that. Boom, done. You
Ricky
can't be like
Gervais, the actor,
So
Ricky Gervais is the
Ricky
guy.
Gervais, yes, yes,
Even
Ricky
Ian
Gervais.
McKellen is in there.
Yeah, yeah. Ian
I have
McKellen.
to go watch this movie again,
Yeah,
man.
it's been a
Been a
minute, but
long time.
I love the epic scale of that movie. Just
Yeah.
love it so much, and it's such a feel good movie because it has everything. It has romance, comedy, action, adventure. It has a little bit of sci-fi. For the longest time I was always preaching about this
It was
movie.
almost like Final Fantasy. I think it's the
Yeah,
closest thing we've seen to Final Fantasy in the screen.
yeah,
Like the pirate ship, is it the air pirate ship from like
mm-hmm,
the old part in Final Fantasy? So it's beautifully world.
yeah.
I don't think Neil Gaiman did another book in this series. I can't remember right now, but I will hope he would go back to it or make make a sequel to it.
Yeah, that it would be great, Neil. If you're listening, if you're watching, please do it.
Yeah.
Please do it. No, because I love the movie. I really do. And always for the longest time, I would always put that on because it took me through all the emotions. But at the end, I felt so I don't know. I just felt really good. It just made me feel happy, feel completed. Like the full fruition of a story and stuff like that. And there's and they and it's a happy ever after kind of story. And it just warms the heart. I got goosebumps right now just thinking about the ending and
Even
everything.
Henry Cavill is in the movie.
Hey, a young Henry Cavill?
Yeah, he's
Jeez.
Humphrey, the guy he's
That's
competing with.
right. That's
He has a
right.
he has blonde hair though, I think in the like
Oh, wow. Wow, and he has a mustache, right? He has a mustache in there? Oh, wow. I needed that
yep.
guy. Oh, man. Yo, it's such a powerful film. You guys definitely got to go watch it. It's up there and one of my all-time feel-good movies. I might even watch it this evening because it just touches the heart. But that's the beauty of feel-good movies is that as you grow up and as you get older, your tastes change and evolves. Yeah, you can appreciate the old movies and you can see them in a new light. But as you grow up, you find new movies that captivate that emotion, maybe for that moment in your life or maybe for that period in your life. But then, you transition to something else and then you find something beautiful. Like for me, it was besides Pirates of the Caribbean, that's my action adventure one because I put that on and I'm just like, I just escape immediately. The first Pirates of the Caribbean movie was just fantastic. It's an adventure movie and there's it makes you want to be a pirate. Like it makes me want to put on an
Yeah.
eye patch and just go with like "Arr!" I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? Arr, you know? Um, but Zootopia is like, man, I can't tell you how many times I would put on that movie and have it on in the background. Just listening to it. That the structure of that movie is so well done, from the beginning all the way to the end, and so well established, so well written, so well told, the ups and downs, and you're following these two characters from opposite sides of the world and spectrum, and how they view the world. One's like super chipper and happy, one's more jaded, and how these two worlds come together and they become like a good mesh, and one's a predator, the other one's a prey. It's it's so well told, and it's a good story. It's a great story for our modern times. Like you can apply it to any situation. Anybody can identify with this film because it's so vast. The universe is so open, and there's so much to see. And every time I watch that movie, I feel like I see something new. But the journey of these characters and how they evolve and how they change from who they were in the beginning and at the end, and how they split apart and come back together, and it's such a powerful film that I really, and that's why like Disney, as far as feel good movies, Disney just they just knock it out of the park. They just understand how to make you feel really good, and I highly recommend Zootopia, and I can't wait for them to come out with like Zootopia 2, 3, 7, 8, and 23. Like I think that franchise should be open and never close because it's such a vast world and you can tell so many stories. It doesn't have to be about the main characters.
I've
That's
never watched.
You never seen Zootopia?
Is there singing in it?
Oh no, well there like the characters don't sing themselves. There's like other people, there's like singing in the background and stuff like that. Like one of the characters
Not
is a
one of those
musician.
Disney. Thing with Disney movie, I don't like musical.
Yeah, I don't
So
blame
for
you. Yeah,
me, even the
like Frozen.
even Lion King, I really like story of Lion King.
Yeah.
There's a there's a there's a lot of singing in that movie, and there's a lot of fast forwarding by me.
Yeah, yeah.
I
They
just when I start singing, I go. For me, I press forward and it's and it goes to the end.
yeah.
So
Like
uh,
the last Disney movie, like Encanto. Encanto felt good, but it just some of the songs felt really forced. Like there was no need to have the amount of songs that they had in that movie. Like it
I
just
think it's they put Lin Manuel Miranda
oh
in
yeah.
everything, and he just they think it's I don't know. He just fell into that niche of doing music for these things, and
Mm-hmm.
just want to milk whatever left of his name is there.
Yeah, no, straight up, because he's doing nothing but musicals. But it's just I agree with you. I think there was a period when they stopped doing musicals and started focusing on story, and then they brought back the musicals, but they were tasteful. I think Tangled was a good balance of kind of like music and as long as the music progresses the story forward, I'm okay with it. But Encanto just it didn't do that. It just kind of left you, because it was expressing people's internal emotions. So when you express internal emotions, it doesn't progress anything. It's just like a vent, and then that's it. And the characters stay kind of static, and then their actions are the progression after the expression, right? So it almost nullifies the point of it. Just you don't need the music, just show it in their actions, and we get it. But it's a musical movie, and I think they're going way too ham with the musicals lately, and they just need to bring it back to just let's focus on story. And so I'm hoping that whatever, like Zootopia doesn't need musical, it doesn't need a music theme or anything in there. Just let the characters tell the story. So let's get back to that kind of thing. But if it's gonna have music in it, let it progress like Moana. Moana's stories, I felt like they fit and they progressed the story. They didn't hinder us. You got more knowledge of the character while moving the story forward, and every time they were singing, there was movement. It just fit. The Again, Encanto just it's just like blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, we get it. Can we please just let us move on with the story? Show us more
I,
story.
I haven't seen a Pixar movie in a long time.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, that's my review of a Pixar movie. I think the last two that I really enjoyed from Pixar was Incredibles and Ratatouille.
wow.
Those were the last two that I really, and maybe Finding Nemo was the third.
Yeah,
But
that
after that, I think that studio just went into a dark period, and Cars and all that stuff
yeah, the Cars movies.
really
Yeah.
were really good. So I don't know.
Yeah, Ratatouille was a great movie. It was definitely a really good feel good movie when I was growing up I would watch Ratatouille. And and so
Not a feel. It is a feel good movie, but it's very serious too. It's like I don't know. I find that it's like not really a kid movie. What he's talking about, I don't know. It feels it has a
hmm.
I don't know. It just feels different for me. I don't know if it's the director. I don't know. It just feels different.
Yeah, I could see that, but I again,
Anyways, rats doing foods.
yeah. So I mean, what falls into like a feel good movie? Like what defines a feel good movie in the sense what puts it in that category? Is it a movie that you watch more than once? Because in
But
that sense, like Godfather to me would be a feel good movie. Because every
oh,
time
if it
I watch that movie, I'm like, I don't know, I get
well,
inspired and stuff.
yeah, it could be. It could be a good. I'm not. We're not setting rules here about it, or whatever. If you love if it inspires you to be a better for you, you maybe use an inspiration for because you're a writer and you see that it's a classic, it's a masterpiece of a film.
Hmm.
And you get inspired by that. Of course, it makes you feel good. Like, oh, somebody did this like, really cool movie.
Yeah.
For me, maybe it's something different. It's more about emotions that maybe I don't express well, and I find it in these movies, and it touches me. So,
Oh.
uh, like Groundhog Day, or I don't know, like Scent of a Woman. I really love that film.
I
That's
knew it. I knew
another.
it. I was waiting for that. I was surprised that
I
you hadn't
know.
brought it up. Go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I really like that journey of this. The character starts in one way. It's an character arc, and and it's one of the best Al Pacino roles. Like, at the end, that speech he gives, after he's been through this journey with this young kid who believes in him, and and that speech when he says that the saddest thing is to see an amputated spirit is like, I love that phrase. Like, so for me, that the big, I don't know, it just feels the tango scene where he's dancing with this young girl and the young woman, and it's a beautiful movie. It's a guy with blind, he's a army vet, he's he lost something, his sight, something that you know horrible, it's a disconnect, you can't see anymore, and disconnected from your work, who you are, your identity, and he finds it, in this journey with this university student, high school student, um, and I think it's a magnificent film. It's like the other one, like I don't know, that moment in that era, those '90 movies were really good in that, like A Few Good Men too. It's like hasn't the same vein, has that roaring speech at the end, So for me, I really like that. I don't know if you like that movie, The Scent of the Woman of a
I
Woman.
I watched it for the first time with you, and it was
Okay.
because of that, because it was like, oh, this is my favorite movie, and I remember watching it again. I was younger. I was slightly naive. Like I got the appeal of it. I love the concept of it. But for me, it was like the pacing was too slow, so I have to watch it again now that I'm older, So
Yeah.
I think I only watched it that one time, and there's like fragments of it, but I do remember the emotion and the feeling, that you had afterwards. We had like this deep, long conversation analyzing the film, breaking it down. Like the character's emotion and everything, and how he was struggling. Because he couldn't see, but yet he was, describing certain things as from his perspective. That's all he could do is just describe, because he can't see it. So he would just like this memory and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, I
I
definitely
recommend you
remember it.
watch that film because I think you'll be a fan of it more now
Yeah.
in the place that you are now in your life. And now you're an adult and you work, you have experienced life now.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can see it, now you can maybe relate what is happening. It's a fantastic script,
Yeah.
and it's one of those, if you're gonna rank speeches in film, that has to be the top 10, like right there. Like, the speech he gives to the kids. And so
Yeah.
is Al
Oh,
Pacino doing Al Pacino at his best? He
yeah.
got nominated, I think, for this part, or was nominated, or should be nominated. I don't remember if he
Yeah.
won a Oscar for it.
I have no clue, but I know that he's his best when he has somber roles.
Yeah.
Because every other role that he's in, besides The Godfather and maybe The Scent of a Woman, he's always so explosive. Always such an explosive character. Kind of like he's kind of fringe. His mindset is not all there. He's whacked out a little bit, and they're always
I think
putting him in that role. And I think his best
I
roles
think
is when he's
Scarface.
calm.
I think Scarface messed him up.
Well, even I think even before Scarface, there was a movie when he played like a bank robber, and that's before he got the role for
Yeah, but I mean,
Godfather.
these outbursts, like he got. I think it's like Johnny Depp after
Jack
Pirates
Sparrow.
of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean is all his acting roles. He just does Jack Sparrow. The crazy.
It just so here's the thing with that, and this is for a lot of actors. So a lot of these actors, they had a role prior to that represented that. Like, so he's always been kind of a Jack Sparrow kind of character. It's just when you saw him in Jack Sparrow, that's like the first role where all his previous roles just all kind of like it fit. It was a perfect match for him as an actor. Like that was he was born to play that role kind of thing. And the same thing goes for Al Pacino. Like he's always had these kind of like outburst kind of roles. Like he's always been kind of off hinged, like he's always
Yeah,
been out there. But it's only until you see him in Scarface where you're like, oh, like
yeah, it
he's
fit
because
the situation.
yeah, because he wasn't the first choice for the Godfather or anything like that. Like because he had a role before where again he was a bit like too chaotic, like too much energy, too much like but the role of Michael Corleone, he had to be like real calm and reserved, and that's why I think they brought the best out of him as an actor in that movie. That's his best performance. I don't think he can outlive that, but any role that he did afterwards, it really fit who he was as an actor before. And that's why Scarface is such a well known movie, because it fit who he was before The Godfather. And same thing with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp he's always played these quirky characters and just kind of silly
Yeah,
off the wall characters. But until he played Jack Sparrow, that's when everything fit. And then when that fits so well like a glove, everything else that he did, people can only just see like, oh, his mannerisms. But he's always been like that
yeah.
as an actor. He's
But
always brought
but
that to the table.
in Pirates he does it up to 11,
Exactly,
and
because
then
that's
afterwards he just keeps dialing it to 11,
well,
like
it's
in all
just
his movie.
you
Like
can't see
it's
anything else. You can't see anything
yeah,
else because
because
it's
that's how he's all producing that. But it's like the guy who does Deadpool. What's his
uh
forgot.
yeah, Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah. All his characters are the same thing. It's like
all of them,
jokey, jokey,
sarcastic.
sarcastic, just
Yeah,
joke us around, and and even in his romantic comedies, it's
yep.
the same thing.
The
His
Proposal,
serious movies,
beautiful
yeah.
movie. Love that movie. Watch it a lot.
You know what?
I love that movie.
You know what?
It makes
You
me
know
feel
what?
good.
You know what? What I like about that film,
Is
the
it the
location.
Alaska?
Yeah, it's like the weirdest thing. It is one of the most weirdest places because usually it's like, no, let me go to the farmhouse upstate,
Yeah,
or the richest place and most beautiful place. No, I went to Alaska.
yeah.
It's just like so random.
I love that movie. I love everything about that movie. That's like one of my guilty pleasures. That's romantic comedies is it's my ultimate feel good kind of movie. That's why Stardust was so great because it has that romantic comedy feel. But um, Proposal is one of my favorite
I
rom-coms.
enjoy it. I only saw it like once, but
Uh,
I didn't think I just don't think Sandra Bullock was the
oh my God,
right.
she's never been so hot. She that's the hottest I've ever. Yeah, she's so hot, so
But
fine,
for
so
me, it's
fit.
like for me is that Alaska really? Who
Yeah.
proposed that? Hey,
Yeah.
we got a deep deal discount and taxes if we go to Alaska and film this movie.
That's probably what it was. No lie. Somebody had a house and they're just like, hey, we could use my uncle's house. It's like, sweet, let's go. Because we have zero money. We spent it all
Yeah.
on Ryan Reynolds and
Yeah,
Sandra
man,
Bullock. And
I don't think they filmed in Alaska, but setting the film there is it's like so weird. Like,
yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I feel you. But Ryan Reynolds definitely has that same energy. He's always been that person. But until you saw him in Deadpool, where it just like that's the role he was born to play because he's always been playing that role and it just
yeah, but
fits.
I've seen Ryan Reynolds since he was in TV and Two Guys and a Girl or Pizza Place, something like that.
Yeah.
Sitcom he had, and Van Wilder and all those quirky comedies. Even the romantic movie that everybody likes that he goes back to his hometown and he has a crush for this girl and he
Oh
was
yeah.
I
Just
think
I
he
think
was
it's just
obese.
friends. Just friends.
Yeah, just friends. Even that
That's a
was
good one.
like
That's a good one.
yeah, you were like, wow, let me point this down. I need to watch this again.
I enjoy that movie. I like the
Say the truth, you love the
I
movie.
love I love freaking rom-coms, man. I love like when I first got into the whole industry and writing screenplays, like that's all I would write was rom-coms because I just
Yeah,
love how the structures of them.
that was a
The
dark time for me.
yeah, hey, read the screenplay. It's like, oh my god, no. But I
Uh,
just I
the
love
thing is with rom coms, let me tell you something. Now that you're older, like your rom coms were always a break dancer. The main character was a break
whatever,
dancer.
whatever.
And I'm
Breakdancing's
like, oh,
cool, okay? Breakdancing's awesome.
you sent me these stories, and I'm like, another break dancer.
Whatever, dude. Good old breakdancers, man, posing it out. I pose it out for love. Ah. Anyways, rom-coms are just the structures of those films are so great, and it's two individuals have no business falling in love and they do. The Notebook was just fantastic. Catch Me If You Can. I don't think that's really a rom-com. That's just a really good feel-good movie. That I don't know what that,
That's more
but
a chase film. A chase
yeah,
film.
but there's
I
there's a romance in there, like the romance of the journey and stuff like that. Anyways,
There's a
um,
bromance between
yeah,
those two.
it totally is a bromance film. It's a bromance film. Um, man, I'm drawing a blank with the other ones. There was like a list of them that I would always put on. Um, Sleepless in Seattle. You Got Mail. Those were always
Never
good.
seen those.
You Got Mail was great. That was such a fun Tom
Oh,
Hanks film. It makes you feel good right there at the end. It probably doesn't hold up too much now, but it's those were really good. Yeah, Notebook is definitely up there. There's a
I've
couple
never seen Notebook.
man.
Why do I have to watch it? It's like
It's
it
it's
feels like cultish. Like how people talk to this about Notebook. It's
man.
like when you start talking about Notebook, and it feels like a cult. Like
It's a cult film. No, man, it's a feel good film. It makes you feel good inside. Makes you. It's like the Grinch, He grows his heart and grows like 3 sizes bigger, at the end, and you, Doc Hollywood. Doc Hollywood. That's
can't
another
remember
one.
that one.
Oh my god, I love Doc Hollywood. Doc Hollywood is if you watch the movie Cars, the animated movie Cars, it's they took right all those like key moments are right out of Doc Hollywood. It's like the same premise. You know, city boy crashes into a rural town, and he has to serve time and fix it to help the town to make it back to the big city. And it's the same. That's the same premise for Doc Hollywood, except instead of fixing a road, he has to, you know, become a doctor to mend the fence of the judge. And it's such a fantastic film because he falls in love with with a with a woman who had the potential to become like a big city girl. She was a big city girl, and she came back to this rural town and chose this rural lifestyle.
Yes, I know that that niche of movies that the city person comes back to this little hometown
Yeah,
farm and has to grow to love the neighbors and stuff. Like
yeah. But
that's the basis for all romantic films. And
eh,
there's I made a romantic.
it's like Sweet
I
Home
think
Alabama. Sweet Home Alabama is kind of like the same thing,
yeah.
where she leaves and then she's forced to come back because they're not her and her husband are not officially divorced, and she's about to get remarried, and so she has to come back, and then she relearns the southern way of life, and she just realizes how much how much she missed it, how much she enjoyed it, and how much she loved it. um and so it's that rekindling. She's it's self-discovering, and that's kind of like what the Notebook boils down to be like. He's I'm not gonna spoil it, but the Notebook is such a powerful story, man. It's like powerful
Huh,
love, feel good movie. You should watch all of
much?
those.
No, not good enough.
Too much feel good. Too much feel good. Um,
It's kind of sappy. It's a sappy film.
I wouldn't say they're sappy. I mean, yeah, I guess there's some sap in there, but Sap of Love that didn't come out right. But you know what I'm talking
For me, the thing for me, this is my point of view on romance.
about. All right.
For me, it's more believable that Godzilla will come up from the ocean and crush New York than that Notebook storyline.
Oh my god.
If you tell me, oh, that's based on a real story, I said, bull crap. You're lying. love is love is horrible. So it's just
Damn.
yeah, I
Damn.
like tragic love stories. Like, oh yeah, we can't be together at the end, whatever reason. Yeah, that's life.
Well, I like I like uh the Last Samurai. It has the tragedy, right? And it's written from the perspective of somebody else.
That's
Or
your
it's
feel
told
good movie or inspirational?
Yeah, the Last
Okay,
Samurai. Because at the
that's
end,
good too.
if you dissect it, it's it has elements of a love story in there, but there's tragedy, because this character is completely destroyed and everything like that, and he goes to this island of Japan, falls in love with the island and the culture and the spirit and all that stuff. But then also it's a story told kind of from different perspectives. Like it's a story of the Last Samurai told from Tom Cruise's perspective, and that's why people who say it's like a white savior, they don't understand the movie because it's not that at all. It's just it's being told from his perspective because he's the broken person that we can identify
Yeah,
with.
yeah, that movie has a lot of
Uh,
theories too because of the ending, and
yeah.
people say that actually is the little kid who's the last samurai. Uh,
Well, you can, yeah,
you know,
yes and no, because the kid never truly becomes a samurai.
but you don't see it because he's a kid. But
Exactly,
he absorbed all that tradition and saw that his tradition how it affected this person that came in.
yeah,
You know,
and so he could train the kid, but
yeah,
in reality, Tom Cruise is talking. The story's talking about the actual last is
yeah,
Miyamoto's son. He's the one that's the story's about him.
yeah. Even I don't know why they say he's a white savior because even at the end when he's in front of the emperor, you know, he told me he asked how he died. You know, he's explaining about the last samurai. You know,
Yeah, I'll
he
tell you
goes,
how
no,
he
I'll tell
lived.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's like for me. I love that movie. I adore that movie. Every inch of that movie, I love. I remember watching. I remember that there was moments in my life where I was just like, man, do I want to keep pursuing this whole, storytelling Hollywood dream kind of thing? And Last Samurai was definitely one of those movies where I was just like, whoa, I want I want to create that, you know, like I want to do that. Like that's
Yeah,
it's such a strong movie about honor and respect and just the culture of Japan and uh and just finding peace, internal peace and acceptance of your past and your present and where you could go, you know, like your past doesn't define who you are. You know, it's what you make of it now. You know, like the past is a past. It doesn't define what's going
yeah.
to be your future. Um, so it's such a powerful feel good movie, and it has so many ups and downs and a lot of loss. But you grow with it, and you grow with this character, and then at the very end, there's this nice resolution, and this nice just like a breath of fresh air. You know, an exhale of just like and like finally there's a win for this guy. There's peace for him, and there's no like romantic like epic kiss or anything like that. There's not this like
Yeah.
big, you know, ecstasy moment, you know, like where you
Because
just
it isn't
get this.
about that. It's
Yeah.
it's more it's a movie about healing, the
Yes.
process of healing.
Yeah.
It's a whole like can talk about the all he gets all through all the process of the steps of healing through, you know, he's a drunk, he's hurt, he's shattered, he has
Yeah.
PTSD, he's seen horrible things, his
Mm-hmm.
spirit is scarred. And the movie is like, you know, he just gets prisoner, gets caught, captured by this group, and the the winter comes and he's just locked into his place. Just, you know, some that's the process of healing. Sometimes you have to like separate yourself,
Yeah.
causing the pain, and you know, through the teaching of the samurai, the place, the people, the discipline, you know, and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it rebuilds him at the end. And at the end, he's just he rebuilds. You know, he rebuilt his life, his self, and he has a new path. You know, it's a really beautiful film.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You have to, the character had to disengage and disconnect, and he was forced to face his demons, and it was because of the action of a woman that that was taking care of him that kind of forced him to
Yeah,
face that, you know, and she became kind of his savior without intending to. She just knew that he was in pain, and she knew whatever he was doing to himself was not helping, and so he was always avoiding it. And for some miracle, this angel, and she just stopped, you know, catering to his self destructiveness, and that allowed him to break through it and confront it, and
and
you
for
know,
her too is a healing process because this
yes,
is the man that killed her husband,
mm-hmm,
and now she lost her husband. Now her child is fatherless,
yeah,
so he has to take care of it. Like that's another relationship there, another healing
yeah,
process. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
and
it's
it,
a great movie. I have to go watch it again. It's been a
yeah.
long time. 'Cause I've
I
been waiting for a good version of a Blu-ray or you 4K version. There's none.
Yeah, there isn't, and that's a shame. That really is a shame because that's one of the movies that I would put up there that has that caliber. It definitely has the audio for Adobe Atmos enhancement and
The
4K
soundtrack
HDR.
is beautiful.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a masterfully told movie, and I highly recommend it for everybody. So I adore that movie. I really do. It touches my soul. It touches the purity of my soul, and it just revitalizes me. I love the Japanese culture. I love everything about that island over there. So and their ancient civilization is very fascinating too. Like their ancient culture, like the island and stuff, is really fascinating as well. But I won't digress into that. I won't spiral into that. So, um, but primo, uh, so now that we're at the closing of it, feel good theme. Any final thoughts? Any of like feel good movies, feel good, you know, scenes or anything
I'm
like that?
just saying another movie, just a list. Miracle. I really love that film.
Yeah.
Um, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It's another one that I really
Oh yeah.
enjoy. That's one of the newer one.
Mm-hmm.
And The Way, it's Emilia Stefan directed movie, uh, indie low budget movie about this guy going through Spain through El Camino. I forgot the name of the journey, but he
Yeah.
died. Father's picks up the journey, his ashes, and has to go through the way through this pilgrimage that people do through Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And he meets certain people there, and each one is troubled, have their own problems, and why they're taking the pilgrimage. So it's a really beautiful film. I really enjoy it. So
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
that is a really beautiful movie. I agree. I've seen that movie a couple times, and it definitely touches the ticker. It touches
Yeah.
the heart, and you're like, Emilio still got it. So, yeah, it definitely. There's a lot of feel good movies out there. To just being able to clump it all into like a 1 hour segment is kind of tough, but they are. It and again, it's what makes you feel good, right? It's what you put on. It helps you escape, helps you identify certain emotions and feelings. It helps you meditate. It helps you, get through the hard day, the hard week, the hard month, or just movies that you just like to listen to in the background while you do other things, and you just know every key point of the movie. I think that that's what falls into the category of a feel good movie. So Prima, I'd like to thank you for sharing your thoughts and your feelings of these feel good movies, because it's some of these are very personal,
Oh
um
yeah.
but I want to thank you, and let us know in the comments what you guys watch as a feel good movie. What is your feel good movie? We would love to hear from you guys, and maybe we might watch it. Any suggestions and things like that. But this is the first of many themed shows, because we have so much content that we want to bring to you guys. So thank you so much for listening and watching. And until next time, keep watching those movies, and we'll see you later. Much love. God bless. Peace out.